So here we are in part two, your personal background. The core concept is this. And again, I would remind you to grab your workbook, the sheets that you can print off, because in those, you might can hear me like banging those on the table right now. In those, you're going to see how all of this starts fitting together and aligning with you and the mission of the organization where you're leading. Now, the core concept on your personal background is this: your story, including the struggle you endured and the solution you found, can become the roadmap for others' success. And I would say often that struggle, that pain point that you experience, it is the platform for your future success because you lead others to their success. So that becomes the roadmap. Now, let's go back to the beginning. And again, think about all of these answers as you're going into your worksheet. There is a reason you got into the career you're in. Most people, in my experience, don't just stumble into something. They don't just up and decide, oh, I think I'm going to be a whatever. I mean, for sure, you do find these elements of overnight success. You do see these times where people just kind of jump into something, but most of the time, there is an element of intentionality there. There is a long season of struggle. You might have before seen that graphic of the iceberg on top of the water. There's a little bit of the iceberg showing, and it says something like visible success, and then underneath it has all of this invisible struggle, all of these long hours, all of this doubt, all of this, oh, I wonder when it's ever going to happen, the unseen, alone time of pressing forward. Today, when I got in from running, I went to check my messages, and I saw just a screenshot that somebody had shared that said, "When a tree is growing, it seems often like there's not much progress. The seed pushes out of the ground, and then it seems to grow so slow. In fact, a lot of times people will say in the landscaping industry that the first year a tree is there, it just kind of sleeps. It's barely there. Second year, it creeps. The third year, it leaps, but the fruit is the last thing that you see. So here's what I'm saying. Most people, it's not an overnight success. It's not just, oh, all of a sudden this just happened and that's why I'm here. I'm doing this just because it happened. For sure, that happens sometimes. But for most people, there is a reason why they got into the career, the opportunity, the industry that they're in. And so on the worksheet, just answer that. What's your career? What industry are you in? And why did you personally decide to do this? Now, let me remind you of this truth that's on the screen there. Uh, what you do is not who you are. So, what you do is not the same as who you are, but who you are overflows into what you do when you live your true purpose. So when we resolve the identity issues that we all at some point carry around with us, when we resolve those issues, we can be assured that what we do is going to be an overflow of who we are. So it's not going to flow from the outside in, where I need these awards, I need these accolades, I need all this stuff to shore up my personal value. It's going to flip, it's going to go the other direction to where everything we do on the outside is an overflow of the inside out, not an inflow from the outside in. So there are reasons that you got into this field. It might have been there's a problem that you saw. It might have been there's a potential that you could help people step into. It might be that there's a path that the person could walk, a path they could walk. It might be that you saw some progress that they might make. It might be that you saw their purpose was being unfulfilled by others. It is something. And so we want you to start clarifying what that is on this worksheet. Here's the goal. Here's what we want to do. We want to distill the reason we're in business, meaning into this business, into this career, into this whatever it is that you're doing, into a single sentence. It's sometimes called a one-liner. Now, this may not yet be, as I say on the screen there, may not yet be your business or marketing proposition. It needs to be personal, however, and at some point, we're going to make that leap to your business marketing message. Let me show you some examples of what I mean. So I've got a friend that's a realtor. Asking him, say, hey, why in the world did you get into this? And he said something like this. Well, I really decided that I want to help people find a home that suits their needs while getting a great deal, not getting taken advantage of. I want them to be able to live near the locations that matter the most to them, school, church, whatever it is they do. And I want them to create a space where people feel loved. That's what I'm talking about. You see, maybe a problem that he saw, potential he could help people step into. It might have been a path they could walk, progress they could make, purpose unfulfilled by others, unique to the realtor. I talked to a friend that's a chiropractor. In fact, created a lot of online courses during this season with him for a while. And he said something like this to me one day. I said, hey, how did you get into this? He said, I got tired of seeing people tolerating health nuisances that could often be resolved with nutrition, with exercise, and with the proper amount of rest. In other words, with a healthy lifestyle. And I see this, being a chiropractor, as a way to bring healing to people so they can enjoy their life. It's hard to live your purpose, he said, when you're sick on a couch or even just feeling sluggish. That is why he got into being a chiropractor. Others, author, coach, might say something like this. I think there are a lot of people who have something important to say. Their purpose is to impact others with a positive message. Now, that is, full disclosure, one of the things that we do here at Amplify. We help people whose purpose is to propel their message out there and impact others. We help them say it in such a way that other people not only hear it, but to where the creator of that message can multiply and monetize it. Here's the dilemma. A lot of times, that author, that coach, look at the bottom paragraph, they don't know how to get the words off the screen in their computer or out of the notes that are in their journal or out of the ideas in their heads into the format of a book. And people ask all the time, how do you make those words fit in the format of the book and have, table of contents and pictures and subtitles and titles and the copyright and the cover and all of that? And how do you turn it into such a way that it shows up on Amazon and in bookstores? And how do you make it to where people can go buy that? And then you can make the book and make a companion course. And how do you turn that into an audiobook? And where do you do that? And how do you upload it? And how do you have the website work to do all this stuff? We teach people how to do that so that, and this is key at the bottom, so they can do that message full time, so they can earn a sustainable living off of that and make an even bigger impact. That's why we got into that. I talked to a friend that's a financial manager. He said this: money's a tool, but too many people are afraid of it. However, with the right planning and making the process easy to understand, most people can make a few shifts and then begin seeing major progress towards their goals. Now that's radically different, because I would have thought you gotta make massive shifts. This is no. Most people can do it with a few shifts. What about if you're a church leader? One guy told me, I grew up in a church that was very legalistic. It's all a bunch of rules. I want people to be able to come as they are and know they'll be accepted and challenged. So not just come do whatever you want to. Like I want to help them become exactly who God created them to be, to propel forward in marriage, in faith, in every area of life. And this was interesting, I want my church to actually spend money on the things that make the biggest difference. So he wanted to direct money towards missions and towards community and towards all these impact things, which was interesting because I was talking to him. He said most church leaders would not say that the most important thing they do is the Sunday church service, yet that's where they spend all the energy and all the planning. And so he said, the reason I got into church, because I want to do it different. I want to spend money and energy planning all the other things that really make the massive life change. I've got a friend that owns a coffee shop. I was talking to him earlier today. He said, I love people. At heart, I think my gift is hospitality. Um, and I can't invite everyone to my house, or I can't make money doing that, but I got to support my family. So this is my outlet. I love to see people connect and for strangers to become friends. And as he continued, he spelled out all these ways where life change has happened in all sorts of different areas inside his coffee shops, plural. So the question is, why did you fill it out on the worksheet, get into what you're doing now? Here's a pro tip. If you're stuck creating a one-liner, a summary sentence, you could use this formula. Write out what you do because so that what do you do? I sell houses to people because I want people to get a great deal and live near the places that matter the most to them and not be so cash poor and strapped financially when they do this. I want them to, just fill in the details of how it works out for you. See, that's what we're spelling out here. So that what's the difference that you make? Okay. And then once you have that one liner, we're not done. Now, no, that's a lot of great work. Once we have that, though, we're not done. Once we have that, we want to take it farther. We want to talk about your personal journey. Talk about how you got into this. Let me give you the overview. And this is what you're going to find in the worksheet here in the little workbook that I've got there below for you. Similar feelings, the struggle you endured, the solution you found, and then I want you to summarize all of that. So, similar feelings, the struggle you endured, the solution you found, and then a summary of all of it. Okay, so let's get into it. Now, let me tell you on the front end, this right here, this next section, this is the personal information that people actually want to read from you on your website. Not your entire company history, not your awards and achievements. They want to see the connection that you have to their problem and the potential that you lead them to. In other words, you want to tell them how your stories are alike because you want to be the person that guides them from the problem they're having to the potential that you are selling to where you are leading them. Well, let me show you what I mean. Similar feelings. Sometimes people refer to this as familiar feelings. This is the area that builds empathy and common ground, resulting in authority. You clearly state that you understand how they feel and where they are, the problems they face, the pain points they feel because you've been there. Now, as a content creator, I can tell people, man, I love to write, but for years I struggle. Like, how do you sell this thing? I mean, how do you find a publisher? Or do you even need a publisher? Can you just get this out? Or how do you get it in such a way that people want to buy it and you can take payments online? Man, I struggled with trying to figure that out for years. We started doing it before YouTube was out. So like there weren't a lot of tutorials on it. You just kind of had to stumble. You could research it on the internet, but you kind of had to string all the pieces together and you had to band-aid all the software together. Like you couldn't just do it in a simple way. I've got a friend, I've recording him on the podcast, and he is a marriage counselor, and he talks about very openly putting his marriage back together after being on a business work trip to the mission field. And for some reason, going and soliciting a prostitute. So when people talk to him about this marriage being too far gone, and I don't know that we can put it back together, he can tell them because he's been married now for decades. If you want to, both of you, you can. It's not going to be easy, but you can heal it. And it's not information that's just only coming from a book, even though he has the training, it's coming from similar situations, similar feelings. Now, whatever industry that you're in, you probably have a story that starts off somewhere with a legitimate, I know how you feel because I've actually been there too. And you've wondered if you should share that part of the story. That is the part of the story people want to know. Not the awards, not the accolades, not all the attaboys, not the city in which you met your wife, not the school that you attended, not everything else that we readily include. They want to know that you resonate, that you understand where they are. And when you, point number two, talk about the struggle you endured, they know, oh, this wasn't just handed to you. You're not sitting where you are because somebody just gave this opportunity to you. You're there because you journeyed there. You not only know what I feel like, you've actually come out on the other side. So tell them, write it down in the workbook succinctly how you journeyed forward. How do you move forward, including some of the obstacles that you had to overcome. I tried this, that didn't work. I searched for years trying to figure out how to, you fill in the blank of what it is. If you're teaching people natural health, maybe you tell them, well, for years, I'm thankful for doctors, but I went to this one and, it just didn't happen. And I went here and I tried to get a diagnosis and I couldn't. And I chased this autoimmune thing for years. And then finally I came down to the solution that if I would, just do this nutrition thing and just lose this weight and just take these supplements and just, you tell them about the struggle and you tell them about all the obstacles that you are facing as you're leading them to the solution. That's going to be number three. But notice what I wrote there on the bottom. If they don't believe your struggle, they won't readily believe in your solution. They need to see both. So they don't need to just know, oh, here's where we're going. We're going to talk about that. That's definitely part of this framework, but they need to know the season of struggle. And when they know that you identified with that, they're readily going to believe the number three solution you found. So you affirm that you reached a milestone and that even though they're still journeying forward, you're still journeying forward too. You might have arrived at a certain place, but you're continuing to grow. So you tell them in just a few words, here's what the game changer was. Here's what it is. For me in this whole writing industry, it was, in fact, I've got a book named Process Over Permission. I finally realized the game changer for me was I realized I didn't need somebody's permission to write and publish a book. I didn't need somebody's credential to write and produce a course. Now I've got some degrees, got bachelor's degree, master's degree, got all that. But didn't need somebody's permission. I just needed the right processes. When I implemented the processes that we teach, I was able to multiply and monetize my message. That was the game changer. There is a game changer somewhere in there for you. You probably know what it is, even right now. If you created the program or the product, you can add, that's why I created this. So like for Amplify and all the courses that we teach, content creators, writers, authors, I tell them, hey, the game changer for me was having these processes and knowing I don't have to wait on somebody's permission. In fact, I can make more money not waiting on somebody's permission because I don't lose the time and the effort, and I can keep the profit. I don't have to pay them a cut, and I'm going to have to market this stuff anyway. So the game changer was I don't need their permission. I need a process, and I struggled for years, almost a decade. That's the struggle, coming up with the right processes. That's why once I dialed in the processes, I created this book. That's why I created this course. That's why I created this. That's how you do it. And then fourth, still in the worksheet right there. And remember, this is all about you. This is about your story. Summarize the 1, 2, 3 above. So summarize the similar feelings, the struggle, the solution, Don't assume that people are going to remember what you do. Repetition, repetition, repetition. Repeat it in different ways. Remind them, now, in the order that makes the most sense, of the potential you lead them to. So that's going to be the solution, the problem you solve. That's the situation where they are, the struggle they're going through, the path, the product, the program, all of the things to get there. And if you're wondering about these, we're going to talk about these a little bit more when we get into the next part of the framework. So, again, we're going through this personally, we're aligning this professionally, we're putting all of this together. Here's what we just learned in this module. There are similar feelings that you have to what they're doing now. Don't forget where you came from. That's the common ground. The struggle you endured is important because the degree that they lock into and believe that struggle, they will believe the solution you've walked into. You got to share that solution. And then finally, you're going to share a summary of the potential you lead them to, which we'll talk about in the next module, the problem that you solve, talk about that in the next module, the path, the product, the program, the way forward to get there. That is all coming up. Here, remember why this step matters. If you are called, which I really believe you are, and you lead the company, the organization itself has a call. That is true, whether it is a church, a nonprofit, a charity, a foundation, a whatever it is. The organization has a call that is highly aligned with yours. So dive deeper into your origin story and don't be afraid to talk about it. Okay, so we're gonna get into this potential problem, path, product, program to get there more in module number 3.